At 2:17 a.m., phones across the country lit up with the same message: National Emergency Alert. No weather warning. No terror threat. Just 6 words that made the blood run cold: millions missing across America. In Columbus, Ohio, paramedic Daniel Harper was halfway through a night shift when his ambulance radio went silent mid-dispatch. He assumed it was a system crash, until he stepped into Grant Medical Center and saw rows of empty beds. 4 lines hung untouched, still dripping. Heart monitors beeped into hollow air. Nurses stood frozen, staring at sheets collapsed over nothing. In Phoenix, traffic cameras showed highways stopping at once. Cars drifted across lanes and rolled to a halt. Driver doors hung open. On a downtown bus, 15 passengers remained, but 12 seats were suddenly empty, clothes folded into themselves like shed skin. The driver kept whispering, "They were just here. I just looked back." By sunrise, it wasn't just cities. A ranch outside Abilene reported an entire church congregation gone between the final hymn and the closing prayer. In Seattle, a morning news anchor broke down live when her co-host vanished from the desk beside her. The feed cut, but the clip had already spread. Then came the sky. From Montana to the Carolinas, witnesses described a circular glow above the clouds, like heat lightning that refused to fade. Some claimed they saw silhouettes rising toward it, swallowed by widening light. Others blamed mass panic. Officials urged calm. Scientists demanded proof. Pastors filled parking lots with prayer circles. Daniel didn't care about theories. He cared about the small gold cross on his dashboard, the one his wife touched before every shift. When he reached home, the house was silent. The coffee maker hummed. The back door stood open. On the kitchen table, beneath the flashing alert on his phone, lay her wedding ring. Outside, the sky pulsed again, brighter, closer, and this time it felt like it was waiting. Daniel's grip tightened on the steering wheel as the radio dissolved into static. For a moment he thought he imagined the warning. Then the signal returned, fractured and urgent: "Daniel, downtown, it's not containment. It's something else." Silence swallowed the rest that he pushed the ambulance faster toward the city center. Streetlights flickered like dying candles. Digital billboards froze on the same red banner: National Emergency Alert. Helicopters circled low, their blades chopping the smoky air that hadn't been there an hour ago. Crossing the Main Street bridge, Daniel saw crowds lining the riverfront. Some were praying on their knees. Some held phones high, live streaming. Others simply stared upward, faces drained of color. The circular light above Columbus had widened, rotating slowly, like a massive eye opening over the nation. His phone vibrated. A shaky video from Washington loaded at last. The Capitol steps were crowded with officials and armed security. Reporters shouted, but no answers came. The camera tilted toward the sky, columns of pale light were descending, not random. Precise. Where each beam touched the ground, people vanished. No explosion. No sound. Just absence. Daniel's breath caught as he swerved around abandoned cars. A convoy of National Guard vehicles thundered past him. One soldier leaned out, yelling for civilians to clear the streets, but no one listened. Every face was turned upward. The ambulance radio suddenly broadcast across all channels: "All remaining units be advised, this is not atmospheric. Repeat, not atmospheric." The sky pulsed brighter. Daniel felt pressure in his chest, like gravity had shifted. His headlights flickered. The engine coughed but held. Downtown came into view, and above the Statehouse dome, a beam of light began to form. The radio crackled again, but this voice wasn't official. It was frantic. "Familiar, Daniel, don't get closer. They're not taking everyone." Static cut the warning short as the beam started to descend. Daniel's pulse pounded as the beam angled toward him. The humming deepened, vibrating through metal and bone. Wind spiraled outward from the statehouse, lifting ash and paper into the air where it hung, suspended like time had slowed. He stepped out of the ambulance. Pressure wrapped around his chest, firm but not crushing. Around him, reaction split. A woman near a news van dropped to her knees, whispering thank you through tears. A man in a suit tried to run but staggered, moving as if through water. The beam intensified. His phone flashed bright white. Proximity acknowledged. Daniel's breath caught. The air smelled metallic, charged. Above the dome, shapes inside the light became clearer, tall forms layered in radiance, descending with controlled precision. Static burst across the street. Car radios screamed white noise. Streetlights shattered one after another. The helicopter caught at the beam's edge hovered unnaturally, rotors spinning yet motionless. Then letters began forming in midair. Names. They appeared briefly above individuals in the crowd, glowing pale before dissolving. Each time a name faded, that person reacted, some collapsing in relief, others staring upward as if hearing a voice only meant for them. Daniel's vision blurred as warmth surged through him. Proximity verified. The outer edge of the beam brushed his shoulders. It didn't burn. Instead, memories flooded him, his wife laughing in the kitchen, the weight of her ring in his palm hours earlier, the silence of the empty house. 3 people stepped fully into the center of the column. No scream. No flash. They were simply gone. Panic rippled through the crowd, but Daniel stood frozen. The beam narrowed, aligning precisely with where he stood in the street. Inside the light, one descending figure slowed and turned toward him. The figure inside the light had no clear face, yet Daniel felt completely known. The humming narrowed into a steady tone that matched his heartbeat, drowning out the chaos around him. Smoke drifted across the plaza, frozen in pale air as if time itself had slowed. His phone slipped from his fingers, screen blazing white against the pavement. Final confirmation required. The words did not flicker. They waited. Across the street, a teenage girl stepped into the center of the column. She wasn't screaming. She looked relieved, almost peaceful. The light wrapped around her silhouette and she vanished without sound, without resistance. The helicopter hovering near the beam jerked violently before pulling away, rotors straining against something unseen. Sirens wailed in the distance, but they felt small beneath the resonance pouring from the sky. Daniel's chest tightened. Memories flooded him, his wife laughing in the kitchen, the quiet weight of her wedding ring resting in his pocket, the promise he made years ago under softer light. Regret and love twisted together until he couldn't separate them. Inside the beam, the descending figure extended something like a hand. Not commanding. Waiting. Letters formed above Daniel's head, brighter than any before. His full name shimmered in pale light. The crowd fell silent as though the entire city paused to witness. Final confirmation required. The pressure in his chest peaked, then eased when he stopped fighting it. The warmth felt less like fire and more like truth pressing forward. He closed his eyes. For one breath, he stood between two worlds, the broken street behind him and the unknown brilliance ahead. When he opened his eyes, fear had thinned. He stepped forward. Light swallowed his outline. Sound collapsed. Gravity loosened. And the sky pulsed once more.